feel that I'm proper baniya.
नहीं नाम सुना आपने इसलिए बोला आपको मैंने.
जी सर.
Yes, let's go ahead.
Let's start with the presentation. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So hi, this is Arun Bafna, and we are skilling on Saturdays. What we are going to talk about on 4 major areas: the trend, the Startup India scheme, the finance and the funding part, and majorly the challenges which have been faced by the startup industry as of now. As it said, Hirani sir ने जैसे कहा है कि what is it? Startup की definition सबके लिए अलग-अलग होती है. So to keep it very generalized, startup वो हुआ जिसमें there's something new, there's something innovative, there's something which is which is not normal. ये कहा जाता है कि किसी के मन में कुछ आइडिया आया है, उस इंसान को लगता है कि ये हटके है, उसे कहते हैं कि I want to start my startup. So there's a definition which has been provided by Startup India scheme by Government of India. We'll talk about it as we proceed towards the scheme. But the idea, the basic concept of startup is it's a conceptualization of an idea. अभी जो trend चल रहा है post, we have been seeing post 2008, 2009, and till the time the government, the present government has come into, ये काफी trending में है. The millennial generation which we talk about, they have been dealing with this. किसी से भी पूछो, छोटे बच्चे से बड़े बच्चे तक, and they're like, we want to start something, we have this idea, we want to conceptualize. And when we meet entrepreneurs in the age of 18 to 20, and they just completed their teenage, and they come to our office and they're like, sir, we want to bring this up, this is our idea. So conceptualization of these things comes under the startup. It's very trending, and considering India as a place, कहा जाता है कि there are majorly three places where startups are booming. The first one is the Silicon of India, which is Bangalore. Then we have Mumbai, and another good part is the Delhi NCR belt. Not just Delhi, the NCR belt. Gurgaon and Noida, which comes together. These are 3 major places which have got the companies which are registered there. Maybe they are working on pan India basis, but ये 3 जगह है जहाँ पे अच्छा काम हो रहा है, बड़ा काम हो रहा है, and there's so much of funding rounds happening with new ideas coming up. So this is a trend which is going on. As we don't have, as Shivani has told me that we're going to have a presentation of some 30 minutes, and then we have the Q&A. So I'll just rush through the presentation so that it's easier for us to roughly go through the basics, and then we can discuss in detail whenever it's possible. So this is a trend which is going on, and everything is booming a lot. I quickly jump down to the Startup India scheme. This is important for us as chartered accountants, as well as for those people who has joined as, they have an idea. There's an idea with me and I want to execute it. So what does Government of India provide under the Startup India scheme? Quickly brushing through the evolution. Like, it was a flagship initiative by Government of India. It was Jan 2016 we started with it, and idea was to catalyze the startup culture. Like, we have heard about Amazon and Flipkart way back in 2011-12, but when we talk about Startup India culture, the boom which was needed was post the new government and post January 2016. ऐसा नहीं है कि पहले startups नहीं होते थे, but government के initiatives की वजह से, government के efforts की वजह से थोड़ा सा उसको ecosystem को थोड़ा सा बदला गया है, थोड़ा motivate किया गया है. So this is the startup culture which has been, the Startup India scheme is promoting that. It is needed to build a strong and inclusive ecosystem for innovation. So this is the basic idea of the scheme. Yes, as it's always been said, we need to be job creators than job seekers. So this is one of the initiatives. This is the vision of the policy which has been brought in. Yeah. So quickly running through numbers. Last Sunday, I was giving a presentation, the DPIIT recognized startups. Yani jo government recognized startups were at 97,918. They have boosted up with 260 numbers in just 1 week. So कल रात को जब मैंने देखा था, तो the numbers was 98,183 DPIIT recognized startups. We'll talk about what is DPIIT recognized startups. And around 14,828 crores have been injected to boost 1,818 startups. This is a huge amount. And as we all know, there are 100+ unicorns which have been promoting here. Yeah. So as initially said, how do we define startup? यानी कोई इंसान ये बोलेगा कि I want to put up a new chai ki tapri, and I feel this is going to be a startup because in that area, in that vicinity, or in that geography, it's not there. Does it qualify as a startup or not? So let's understand what does DPIIT or the Startup India scheme considers it to be a startup. Shivani, I'm okay with the speed now. Hope I'm not running through.
A little bit. You can go slower.
Fine, I'll try to be slow. So the definition of startup. First thing, the constitutions. The constitution either has to be a private limited company, either it has to be an LLP or a partnership firm. The startup does not allow a proprietorship firm to be considered as a startup entity. This is the constitution. Any person who is dealing with as a proprietor or some other entity like an HUF or something, they have to transfer or convert into any of these three entities and then apply to the DPIIT for recognition purposes. The turnover of the company of the entity should be less than 100 crores in any financial year since incorporation. As we all are, majorly chartered accountants and people who have been into this, I don't have to rush through the details of it. So हमने अगर 2015, 16 या 17 में incorporate किया तो किसी भी साल में इसका टर्नओवर 100 से कम रहना चाहिए, 100 crores से कम रहना चाहिए. Age, the entity should not be more than 10 years of age. This is a basic thing. The scheme was supposed to be, they had a cutoff limit. Initially, they gave startup registrations for initial 3 years, then they extended for another 3 years, and they have further extended it to 31st March 2024 that you can come up and go for recognition purposes. So any entity which is registered today or has been incorporated today should not be 10 years older. The main concept, the main purpose, how we define something as a startup, ये ऊपर वाली चीजें तो बेसिक हो गई, बट जो recognition purpose के लिए देखा जाता है, it is like there should be some innovation, there has to be some development, or there has to be improvement. If there's no innovation, no development, and no improvement in any of the product, process, or services, ये definition, मतलब ये this is a very big umbrella under which everything comes in. So while terming something to be a startup, there has to be something new which is coming in. It should not be something which has already been taking place, or if there's something which has been happening since very long, उस प्रोसेस में कहीं इंप्रूवमेंट है, उस प्रोडक्ट में कहीं मेजर इंप्रूवमेंट आता है, तो कहीं जाके उसे स्टार्टअप का रिकॉग्निशन मिल सकता है. If इनमें से कुछ नहीं है, there's no innovation, there's no development, there's no improvement, but if it's a very scalable business model and it is generating employment or it is giving wealth creation to the people around, इसे भी स्टार्टअप में कंसिडर किया जाएगा. Like we hear of Zerodha, है तो brokership ही, just like any other brokering firms, but what they have done is they have scaled up the model. The model is so scalable and it's creating wealth for so many people, so it can be considered as a startup. Interestingly, what happens is people are very smart in India. मतलब हम लोग बहुत जुगाड़ू हैं, हम लोग कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. हम एक कंपनी बनाएंगे जो पुरानी कंपनी की सिस्टर कंसर्न होगी, या फिर पुरानी कंपनी को हम ब्रेक करेंगे. So there's a strict no splitting or reconstruction of existing businesses. यानी जो चल रहा है उसमें से आप बोलोगे हम उसको ये स्प्लिट करके हम या फिर रिकंस्ट्रक्ट करके विल मॉडल इट एज अ स्टार्टअप एंड सो दैट वी कैन टेक द बेनिफिट्स ऑफ द स्कीम. That's not allowed. These are the major heads under which categorization of startup comes in. So I hope people who are thinking कि हमने कुछ चालू किया है and we are under a proprietorship firm, we can directly go and apply, they are not allowed. As far as turnover is concerned, 100 crores is a very good amount. People who have, the entities who have reached 100 crores, they don't need much of incentives. Age is there, innovation and this, and no splitting and reconstruction. Let's talk about financial benefits. Many people know there's a tax exemption. कोई भी 3 साल 10 सालों में, पहले ये लिमिट थी 5 साल की, like in a block of 5 years, then it was 7 years block, and now it's 10 year block. यानी आज चालू करूंगा, आज से लेके 2024 तक कोई भी consecutive 3 years, first, second, third, not the first years, any of the 3 consecutive years, we can take a tax exemption. The exemption is also available on capital gain part for angel investors. यानी अगर आप book value से लेके ज़्यादा invest कर रहे हैं, तो capital gain is applicable, so that can be avoided here. As well as there's another section which is available wherein if you want to take capital gain exemption and investing in a startup, that is also available. Funding support, there's a 10,000 crore corpus fund available. There's a 80% rebate on patent filing, 50% rebate on trademark filing. So around 2 lakh rupees for domestic patents. There's a reimbursement available, and if there's an international patent, we get a reimbursement of around 10 lakh rupees. Trademark filing में भी आपको rebate मिलेगा. And Yeah, interestingly, financial benefit mein government has been promoting GEM, as many of you must be knowing. There's a government e-marketplace which is doing really good for government tenders and government procurements. So startups have been incentivized to promote their products, their services under GEM. If you're going for any contracts or you're bidding for something, there's no requirement of EMD or prior eligibility. Like जो tenders में conditions रहती है कि आपको 3 साल पहले का turnover or you need to have these achievements. So if you're a startup which has been recognized, you're directly available, eligible to put under this. Obviously, as many know that there's a specific quota for government tenders for MSMEs, and not just MSMEs or startups, it's available for all of us. So उसके अंदर आप preference में आते हो. Government is supposed to procure your services, your product. So this is another good financial benefits which I feel startups have been getting. GEM, as many of must be knowing, or maybe not many people are aware, it has to be there. There's a person who's asking whether private limited company includes 1% company. Yes, Hiteshi, it includes private 1% companies. They are eligible for applying for startups. Let's talk about the other non-financial benefits. Self-certification. Interestingly, जहाँ पे आपको labor law की compliances है, जहाँ environment law, there are 3 labor laws, 6 labor laws, 3 environmental laws as far as Maharashtra is concerned. You can just self-certify it. Based on self-certification, they'll accept whatever you want to. You have specified ज़्यादा आएंगे नहीं आपके यहाँ पे. They won't come as checking and stuff until there's some good complaint which has been put up. You can get the benefit here. There's a networking, the Startup India Hub. It's a very good, very strong platform for people who are into this thing. You find people of similar intellect, you find people with similar problems who have lived it, and it's a very strong networking. There are conferences, there are sessions, there are seminars happening in this place. So once you are registered here, you get entry to these kind of seminars and conferences. Also, there's a financial aid available, there's crowdfunding available, and there's a strong knowledge exchange. When it comes to technology, people like us, maybe we are not into coding, and we are not into creating something which is tech savvy, but there's the strong demand of knowledge exchange which happens here while we are registered here. And the incubation centers which have been running on private public PPP models, आपको एक बार recognition मिल गया, you have accelerators, you have incubation centers under which you are eligible, and they help you like you have an idea, they'll conceptualize it. You have a prototype, or even if you don't have a prototype, they'll use your theory, your design, and convert it into a strong a specific engineering skilled prototype, and they'll try to incubate you कि इस model को बेचना है, market में लाना है. All those supports which are available. So incubation centers is another great help. I'm not sure how many people who have initiated or are working in the startup industry, but if किसी के पास कोई proposal आया होगा या फिर किसी ने कुछ सोचा होगा ना, they must be heard about these incubation centers. Maharashtra has around 17 plus incubation centers, and these incubation centers help you from scratch to bringing your model to the end level, to the consumer level. They help you with funding also. They help you with angel seed funding, angel investors. Everything is available at incubation centers. So these are really good. Mentorship जो बोलते हैं ना, वो यहाँ मिल जाती है. The expert support. There's a Atal Innovation Mission which is going on, in which companies like tech companies like Wipro, TCS, Infosys, they help their people, these students who come up with the ideas. They want to आप लाइए, आपका कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है, आप उसको एग्जीक्यूट कीजिए, आप एग्जीक्यूट करेंगे, एंड इफ यू लाइक द फाइनल प्रोडक्ट, विल ट्राई टू बी योर बेस्ट कस्टमर. There are innovation missions which are available, under which they help, they incubate, they formalize on ideas, and there's an expert support available. So they give you a team, they give you a space, they help you in so many ways. एक multinational company trying to help a small level startup idea. These are the next mission which is going on under Atal Innovation Mission. In case the startup fails, one of the रहता है, I personally feel one of the startup thing is चला नहीं तो क्या होगा? What if my idea doesn't work? What if my it is like, what if I fail? So many of the people who work in insolvency and bankruptcy code, they must be knowing this, but it's easy exit. Once your startup fails, before they fail, before you come up and go under the insolvency bankruptcy code, people join hands here. The government takes initiative and helps you कि चलिए देखिए क्या हो सकता है, आपको क्या फाइनेंशियल एड चाहिए, आपको कुछ सपोर्ट चाहिए, आपको एक्सपर्ट सपोर्ट चाहिए, आपको अगर वो सब देने के बाद भी you're like it's not working, they'll give you a fast track exit. है ना, आपकी फंडिंग है, किसी से पैसा लिया हुआ है, क्रेडिटर्स अवेलेबल है, you're not able to pay them, they'll give you an easy exit so that the promoters who came with the idea can restart, they can reapply or restart their own journey towards entrepreneurship. So non financial benefit में ये बहुत अच्छी चीज है, जहाँ पे the IBC code was fast track of services, fast track of all these litigation which were happening, but still as many may know that the intended purpose is not being served, but this gives you a really strong benefit under the Startup India. These are the financial. So considering opportunity as chartered accountants, we have to apply for the DPIIT, Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. A startup has to be recognized. आपको उसे apply करना पड़ेगा on the Startup India portal. आपको आपके submissions करने पड़ेंगे और उसके बाद उसमें वो recognition मिलेगा. So how does this work? You go to the online application, you go for startupindia.gov.in. Okay, fine. Those people who are searching for Startup India, generally Google में Startup India ऊपर में दिख जाता है, but there are many fake websites which are available. The fake websites, what they do is they navigate you something to to create some nuisance. So we use the extension of gov.in. Please take note of this while searching for any startup website which you are going to log into. The application contains basic stuff, the entity details, like what kind of entity it is, the address, authorized representative, and the directors or partners. What happens is many a times we as chartered accountants want to give the services. The directors or the partners are busy in creating the model or in doing their business. So they we represent them at the portal or at the office, so that all the queries, all the questions which have been raised can be answered in a detailed way. So we have to give the details to the authorized representative who are going to promote, or can be from the directors or partners, can be someone else. We have to give the startup information in detail कि आपका प्रोडक्ट क्या पर्पस सॉल्व कर रहा है, क्या प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहा है, आपका प्रोडक्ट आपकी सर्विस में व्हाट्स न्यू व्हिच इज कमिंग इन, ये सारी स्टार्टअप डिटेल इंफॉर्मेशन आपको एप्लीकेशन में देनी पड़ेगी. एंड देन द एक्टिविटीज which are going to be there, how this is going to work, the whole process, what's the the step by step guide to exactly the idea, the concept. So this comes under the application, and yes, as usual, the self certification. ये 7 चीजें हैं, 7 हेड्स है स्टार्टअप इंडिया के एप्लीकेशन में. आप में से किसी के पास भी if there's a smallest of the idea available, my personal suggestion is आइडिया काम करेगा नहीं करेगा, you want to test it or not test it, आप एक बार अप्लाई करके देखिए. What happens once you apply now, the DPIIT team starts working. And it's totally free. They don't charge you anything. The government doesn't charge you anything. There are facilitators like us, the professionals who have been working in this industry. We are allowed to charge some professional fees, but as far as the government website is concerned, for the application, it's absolutely free. So, and the most important part, here comes the role, like what I personally, मेरा personal experience ये रहा है कि जो pitch deck होता है, आप जहाँ पे बोलते हैं कि startup के बारे में, the whole concept, the whole idea. Usually the initial pitch decks used to be Word files, a few pages running into hundreds of pages, and then used to be PPT presentations. And now the trend is the pitch decks are videos. आप जहाँ पे आपके product के बारे में, आपके service के बारे में, you detailedly put through it कि क्या है exactly. And with this kind of an approach, it becomes very critical, क्योंकि it's just like evaluation. आप एग्जाम लिखते हैं ना, एग्जाम लिखते वक्त आपको पता रहना चाहिए कि जो इन्विजिलेट the examiner है, the person who is going to do your paper checking, वो क्या पढ़ रहा है. तो आपको उतना क्रिस्प, उतना कंसाइज और इतना ही डिटेल में उस चीज को प्रमोट करना है, ताकि सामने वाला पढ़ते ही लगे कि यार there's something in it. So pitch decks are something which are really, really important and critical. And trust me, most of the startup founders which come to us, which are available in the market, उनके पास idea रहता है, but how to present it in front of the investors, in front of the departments, they are not really good about it. They can really talk about their idea, but idea के अलावा there's so much to do about here and there. यानी एक पूरा इकोसिस्टम जो चलता है जिसके अंदर आपको सारे फाइनेंशियल फिगर से लेके यू वांट टू टॉक अबाउट मार्केट प्लेस, यू वांट टू टॉक अबाउट द होल प्रोसेस ऑफ प्रोडक्शन, यू वांट टू टॉक अबाउट हाउ द टीम इज गोइंग टू डेवलप। ये सारी चीजें पिच डेक में डिटेल में आनी चाहिए, which should reach to the heart of the the person who's listening to it. इसके लिए we I personally feel that we are the best people who can do this. We are really good in numbers and we can convert anything into a appropriate figure and present it so that it just reaches the brain and heart. So pitch deck is something which is really important. Any person who's applying for a startup, please ensure that the pitch deck has been thoroughly prepared. Post application, there's an evaluation by DPIIT. If it gets accepted, you get a recognition certificate, you get a registration number. If it gets rejected, you get the reasons why it got rejected. You get a strong feedback so they can work on it. You can find. हमें बहुत बार लगता है कि ये आइडिया ना मतलब हमारे हिसाब से this is very new. There's something which is which is very innovative, and all of a sudden we get to find कि there are 7 or to 10 more applications which have been made in the same area in the same field for the same product or service. So they give you an idea, but it helps you. It takes around say 20 to 25 days to get the revert from DPIIT. And if there are some queries, we have to answer to them. This is a simple application and this is great scope available for chartered accountants to help, to boost, to get the recognition done. And once we start associating ourselves with those founders and the idea, we start getting involved in day-to-day details of it, and it helps us a lot. Anybody having any kind of question till here, so that we can move? I've just classified into 4 topics. We have completed 2 of them. Shall I proceed?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Yeah, Hitesh.
Taking.
There's
if
a
there
raise
is
of
any
hand.
question.
Yeah. Good morning. Arun. There is
Yeah,
one
good morning.
question that, as you said, that you have to pitch your idea to DPIIT.
Yeah.
So only we can register our idea to DPIIT, or we have to give a demo or presentation to DPIIT for the getting the recognition.
We have to present the idea. See, the application is online. We have to apply it online. We can upload our video also. And if required, if they need, the incubation centers or anybody else who are associated with us, they'll connect us, like we connect ourselves with them, and we have to present the idea to them also.
Okay.
So majorly, the application is online. The presentation has to be there.
Okay. Thanks, Arun.
Yeah, thank you. Let's proceed ahead. So ultimately, it comes about money. As we have seen, these people, there's a raise of hand. I'll complete this slide and we'll come to this. As we have seen, these people, boosting the Indian television, and coming up with their own ideas and concepts of valuations and giving money, and talking about so many other stuffs and instruments in which they're going to fund. So I would really thank Sony India for bringing this. There's a Shark Tank US, Shark Tank Australia, which goes on, but bringing this concept and entrepreneurship to India, I should thank this channel and this medium, because they have been, the reason why I say is it's not just them, it's also like me, my wife, and my son. We sit and watch these pitches. We sit and watch the the serial, and we evaluate कि ये डील लेनी चाहिए, ये डील नहीं लेनी चाहिए, ये छोड़ देना चाहिए, या फिर ये ज्यादा मांग रहे हैं, ये the investors are screwing. I coming from a a financial background, I have my own resources, or I have my own idea about what this is going to happen, and my son is like, Papa, इसको ऐसे करेंगे तो कैसे होगा? People are getting into this entrepreneurial spirit, and I don't know how much of you must be watching it, but most of us do. And this is an interesting dig on how the valuations happen, how people are coming with innovative ideas. And बहुत बार तो ऐसा होता है ये आइडिया मैंने सोचा था, ये ऑलरेडी पिच हो चुका है. And we miss on so many opportunities, and we also realize that there's so much of potential available. In fact, apart from watching cartoons and discovery and science fictions, my son watches this serial. So it is something which is adding to the spirit of how our nation is moving towards startups, towards entrepreneurship. And as sir has said that yeah, Marwadi hai kya? Everything falls a place like this. So let's further proceed. Talking about funding, why do startups need funding? Okay, before that, there have been raise of hands, so I'll answer them. And questions, please.
Good morning, Arunji. I'm Sashikla from Chennai, Chartered Accountant. Recently, I attended the training with IAM and I'm just back today. This is a 3 months program by the NSR cell of IAM Bangalore with Goldman Sachs. Initially, when they asked for pitch deck as a CA, I didn't know what is a pitch deck was. I had to Google and then see what it is all about, because we know only the profile or at the most because of our professional code of conduct and the code of ethics coming into place, we are not sure what to say and what not to say. Also, like always, I started with a disclaimer: I'm a CA in practice, I am regulated by this, and then I can't share much. So these are the things I do. But like, can as a CA, can I register in DPIT or something like in the Startup India or Skills India or something like that?
It doesn't matter if you're a chartered accountant or if you don't have a qualification at all. You can register yourself under the scheme. The qualification just adds on to the, you know, the quality of the management or the team they are going to have. So it just adds on. Like, I have been an independent director in few of the companies. I have been, promoting myself as, a part of. Many a times what we do is we also take, instead of taking fees, we ask, एक काम करना, मेरे को 1% equity दे देना तुम अपनी company में, चलेगा मुझे. Your idea is really good. It's going to work really good. So we do, get associated in somewhere or the other. So you can register yourself, but there's no medium of, registered valuer or registered party, registered chartered accountant or this kind of thing under DPI ID.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Arunji. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. There's another person who has raised the hand, please. Shamaji.
Yes. See, I wanted to speak on the same thing what she said. Whether as a chartered accountant, I can go for startup registration. Will it meet the criteria of being innovative in the product process or the thing?
So it depends on the product. It doesn't matter whether you're a chartered accountant or not, as I said, but what's that you're pitching? What's your idea?
That is what we have to ask her. See, if I say I am Shama, but I am chartered accountant, classify me as a startup.
No, there's no innovation, sir.
Please find out from her.
Okay. Sashiji, you would have heard him. So what we'll do is we'll have a Q&A at a later. I'll just finish.
I did hear him. Just a brief on that. Like our CA thing also, we talk about the knowledge of the client's business. So when they interviewed me, I said, like, as a CA, why do you want to attend it? Already you're doing well, so why do you want to attend? Because I wanted to gain the knowledge from the IAM, of course.
Yes.
So what I did tell them, like, our institute mandates that I should have a sufficient knowledge of the client's business also. I wanted to know about the entrepreneur's mindset, because before I advise some clients, like just they walk in, many a times we don't get see eye to eye with each other or advise them. So I just wanted to start from there. So that is the main idea of attending here. So there were many things we learned. So and like implement that in our practice, and then like within the corners of laws and regulations and our institute's guidelines, we can implement that. And that's what is my plans. Thank you, Arunji. Thank you, sir. Hope I answered your question.
Okay. So why do fundings need? Why do startups need funding? First thing is prototype creation. We have an innovation. We have this. मुझे ये pen बनाना है, but this is going to be a pen which won't, which will, start writing by the velocity of the air or some moisturizing, and it will go for 100 years. So these kind of prototype creations do need funding. We have an idea, but to conceptualize it, to put it into schedule, it needs it needs funding. Then we need product development. एक prototype बन गया, but उसको और develop करना है, और अच्छा बनाना है. We have to, develop it. Then the critical part, hiring a team. We need experts. We need people who have been already working and they are having, there are people who are already into job and they want to leave it. They want a earning. So we need to hire high technical talented people for that. We need working capital. We need legal, this area, legal and consulting services. This is an enormous area. Like, we have been doing really good in this part. What happens is, as chartered accountants, we are majorly concerned with accounts, with financial figures and stuff. But when we talk about startup, there are so many contracts which needs to be executed. There are so many agreements which needs to be undergone, and vetting them, reviewing them, and coming up with legal opportunities in them. Like, if you want to have an SHA or an SSA, like shareholding agreement assessment, what are going to be the clause of getting into seed funding, angel funding, VC funding, what are their terms? How are we going to get into contract with a large, if you have a strong product and we are getting into competition with a big competitor in the industry, and we are trying to supply the same model or the same product to their own customer, and then we get to know that the credit term which have been offered to them is less or more, and there are some legal complications, and we are going to get stuck if there are so many legal compliances which legal angles which come into this part. So apart from statutory compliances, legal thing is something which is really good. We have even they are startups. We have people, we have associates, and we have been working really good in this area. These people are freelancers in Pune, and we have been working really good. We have been pitching up stuff, and we have been doing so much of legal work all online. People from across the country have been working with us, and they are doing really good. There comes raw material and equipment funding for them, and then we need some licenses, certifications for technical parts, for entities into biodegradable products, or biotechnology. There are certifications which are required, and then ultimately we need funding for marketing and sales to escalate high. So these are the major heads under which we need funds, by which we the founders come in. So quickly brushing through what the type of funds we have: equity, debt, hybrid instruments, and grants. So no need to talk about equity, no need to talk about debt, but yeah, hybrid instruments, these are something which are innovative. We have been heard about venture capital funds. The recent trend which is going on is venture debt funds. So it's a combination of equity plus debt, and a kind of hybrid instrument. We have heard about preferential shares, but what's going on recently is compulsory convertible preference shares. So the investors come in as equity, as shareholders, but they give a timeline कि हम 5 साल तक we won't be having any stake in your equity, but at a later point of time it has to be converted. We have got invoice funding. Trades जो website है, as many must be knowing, it's going for bill discounting, invoice funding, future reverse funding. All these things are available, which are innovative, which gives us good amount of money. And if you're e-marketplace like Amazon and Flipkart, you have been doing really good sales. They come up with innovative products considering your past few months of sales or few years of sales. They give you additional funding without any cost. So these kind of things are happening, which are hybrid. Apart from that, many people say about there are grants available, there are schemes available, but these grants and schemes, like what has happened recently, Qualcomm has come up with a competition under which all the startups can participate. Whoever wins the challenge, or whoever is able to reach that position, they have been offered a good sum in form of cash. They have been awarded contracts. So these kind of things are available to raise money. The stages, we'll quickly go through it. Stages, we have pre-seed, like when we have the idea, when we haven't मतलब मुझे पता है कि ये करना है, मुझे पता है कि ये कुछ है, ये कुछ तो भी करने से कुछ तो भी होगा. So these ideas are going to come up. These are majorly bootstrapped from friends and family. So this becomes pre-seed funding. Then comes seed funding to create the prototype, to create the testing. And in seed funding, generally incubators and angel investors come into place. There are platforms for crowdfunding also available. So this is a place where seed funding happens. Then once your seed funding is done, then comes Series A. Like, your product has been developed, you have launched it, you're going for a further growth, and you need to expand geographically or any, in numbers, or trying to increase the customer base. Here comes Series A funding, which is going to be like venture capital, NBFCs, debt funds. These are the places where, what is bootstrap means? खुद का पैसा. We have heard this word bootstrap. We are not taking funding from anybody. There's no loan. There's no, any funding which is available. So these are majorly bootstrap. Idea है, मम्मी से ले लिए, पापा से ले लिए, सेविंग से ले लिए, दोस्तों से ले लिए. This is called bootstrap. खुद से करना, उसे bootstrapping कहते हैं. So Series A funding में venture capital, NBFCs आ जाती है, venture debt funds आ जाते हैं, and you have got KPIs which need to be monitored, like key performance indicators, like basic जो हम पढ़ते हैं, the top line, the bottom line, sales, profits, and then we have basic ratios which has to go in. What is the debt equity ratios? These are the places where KPIs come into. So Series A funding के लिए ये सारी चीजें देखी जाती है. So from pre-seed funding to seed funding and Series A funding. So there are different entities or investors which are available who give money for various stages. अगर कोई pre-seed में invest कर रहा है, generally करते नहीं है, but जो करते हैं, जहाँ पे टेक्नोलॉजी है, जहाँ आइडिएशन है, जहाँ पे the promoter has got a background, they are taking the risk, they accordingly they ask for the return. So is seed funding. We are trying to develop something, and it's going to come as a product, and it will, if it gets successful, well and good. If it fails, obviously there's a risk involved, and there are series of funding जहाँ पे काफी कुछ हो चुका है. तो शार्क टैंक में जनरली जो हम सुनते हैं, या फिर the words which we have heard comes under series A or a few on seed funding. Now what has happened with people or the investors which have gone through lots of cash burns and have the scenario which has changed over the years, normally जो रहता है वो series A funding में ज्यादा interested रहते हैं. Seed funding में there are angel investors which go with incubators or accelerators houses which go for this kind of thing. Once series A is done, we move forward to, there are various series B, series C, series D and E, which goes on and goes on and goes on depending on the requirement. Many entities stop at series A also, and many of them follow with B, C, D and E, and as they need funds, as they grow, and probably if the idea is कि हम 2 साल में stable हो जाएंगे, हम और 10 साल लग रहा है उसे, so they keep on one investor taking out, the other investor pitching in, the first investor going out, like these things happen. So series happens with extra valuation or discounted valuations. The final exit strategy, most of the exit strategy happens to be IPO. And idea वही रहता है. I have gone through so many CCPS agreements with good NBFCs or good startup companies. Simple रहता है कि आज हम आपको पैसा दे रहे हैं, आप हमें ये बताओ कि IPO कब लेके आओगे. I want to have an exit strategy. What we have heard about Paytm, we have heard about Mama, which is going on, and I don't want to get into the intricacies of the valuation and the fair value, but still, idea is people invest and they want money back. हम आपके साथ हमेशा के लिए नहीं रहेंगे. So this is how venture capitalists or private equity firms come in. So exit strategy either IPO or mergers and acquisitions. If we'll just sell this off to, we will get acquired or we'll merge with someone. Share buyback, promoters are really strong कि पैसा है, cash flow है, आप वो शेयर बाहर की जगह हमें दे दीजिए. And then selling of the shares, like exchanging hands. Arun Bafna as an investor who has invested, he'll sell it to Rajkumar Adukia ji. So there are investors coming in, and this is how the things happen. Exit strategy. It's very important to understand how venture VCs work, how PEs work. This may be a day-long session for this, and this is a very interesting stuff to get into the brains of what these investors look into. Venture capitalist का angle क्या है? Angel investors जब invest करते हैं तो उनका background क्या रहता है? वो किसके through करते हैं? Like venture capitalists जो करते हैं, वो अलग-अलग उनकी strategy रहती है. So what do investors look in for startups? Major, the object and the problem, the product or the service is solving. The management, this is very critical. People go with management kiska hai, team kaun hai, how educated they are, what is their experience, what is their background. They go for this kind of, the composition of team, how many partners, how many promoters, what's the shareholding, whether they'll stick together or not. I have seen great innovative products and coming up, but just dropping because the team or the management is not up to the mark as per them. Ki abhi theek hai, but as they'll grow, they won't be able to expand. Kabhi promoters ke nature, kabhi founders ke, the demand or the attitude. This is something which startups look, and they go into detail intricacies of this. The market landscape, kitna market bada hai, kitna graph hai, the scalability and the sustainability, how much the product will grow, whether it will be able to sustain with the, so much technological changes or, amendments happening all together. And then we have customers and suppliers, competitive analysis, सेल्स एंड मार्केटिंग. एंड इंटरेस्टिंगली ये सारी चीजें देखने के बाद इन्वेस्टर जो आता है वो देखता है कि फाइनेंशियल क्या है. द फाइनेंशियल असेसमेंट व्हिच वी टॉक अबाउट, दिस कम्स सो मच डाउन द लाइन. इससे पहले इतनी सारी चीजें हैं जिनको देखना जरूरी है. सो एज चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स, एज प्रमोटर्स ऑल्सो, इट्स वेरी क्रिटिकल कि जो मैं पिछले की बात करता हूँ ना, ये सारी ऊपर की इतनी सारी चीजें हैं जिन पे ध्यान देना जरूरी है, जो मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल मिस. They just go with preparation of financial projections, they go with preparation of going for registration for valuation purposes. Financial assessment जो है वो आखिरी में आता है. हम जो प्रेजेंट करेंगे और इन्वेस्टर जो अपने हिसाब से कैलकुलेट करके, उसमें बहुत फर्क रहता है. So it is very important and critical to look what the investor is looking into. I personally say management and team is something which is very critical. It has to be upscale कि आप क्या प्रेजेंट कर रहे हो उसमें, बाकी सारी चीजें तो कंसिडर हो ही जाती है. And the last one becomes exit avenue. आखिरी में हमारा पैसा हमें कैसे मिलेगा. सो इट इज वेरी क्रिटिकल कि ये सारी चीजों पे ध्यान दिया जाए while picking up a pitch deck or for presenting it, or for that matter evaluating कि मेरा आइडिया काम करेगा कि नहीं करेगा. Sell yourself, to sell your idea. These are the things which investors look into. Startup India funding support, I know it's 748. I'll just quickly do it. SIDBI fund of funds scheme, which is available. And a fund of funds, 110,000 crores diya jayega. SIDBI will not directly deploy these funds. SIDBI will give the funds to AIFs or to venture capitalists who will fund these to, down the line to startups. You can visit the SIDBI website. The SIDBI website में इन सबके numbers लिखे हुए हैं, contact AIF और VCs के नाम दिए हैं, number दिए हैं, email ID दिए हैं. So anybody who's having an idea can visit it and find it out. Then there's a Startup India seed fund scheme, which is available. You have to give the proof of the concept. What is your concept? Seed funding in a very core level, very base level. आपका prototype क्या है? वहाँ पे आपको 945 crores दिए हुए हैं. आपको ऑनलाइन एप्लीकेशन करना पड़ेगा या फिर आप इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर्स के थ्रू आप अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. So you'll get some seed funding there also. Seeing this, I personally feel people must be like, this is something which is so much available as an avenue and can be explored. And this is something which I want to leave or I want to touch upon before I end it. It is as chartered accountants or as in startup people, एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स क्या देखते हैं, VCs क्या देखते हैं और प्राइवेट इक्विटी क्या देखते हैं और इनके बेस कोर जो मतलब बेसिक है इनके, वो कहाँ से अलग है वो देखने बहुत जरूरी है. मोस्ट ऑफ द एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स हैव इन्वेस्ट डायरेक्टली और दे हैव अ टेक्निकल बैकग्राउंड. वेंचर कैपिटल में ऐसा नहीं रहता है. आई एम जस्ट गोइंग थ्रू द फाइन पॉइंट्स. Venture capital borrow funds and they have their own VC LPs. They have the partners who give them funds and they're supposed to give a specific return and they'll take back the funds. So VCs come with a exit कि मुझे 3 साल में 5 साल में आप कैसा पैसा वापस कब दोगे. And private equity plays a very different role in this all three categories. So someday if I want you guys to work on this, understand this while pitching up a proposal or taking up a proposal, and also understand the challenges. The ecosystem is in progress. यानी आज इंडिया का देखा जाए तो the ecosystem is still not that great. यानी कोई आइडिया लेके जाता है ना तो उसके पास तुरंत ये नहीं पता है कि हम तुरंतली कैसे कर लेंगे. So there are the out of reach people. मुझे आइडिया आया and I can go to that place. It's very less. So incubation centers are in development. The Atal Innovation Mission is in development. So ecosystem is in progress. सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज आता है many of the firms which as chartered accountants also we face is having the right set of people right for the right set of job. So talent का एक रहता है. Valuation and funding में there's a huge variation. I have been listening and meeting people recently and I have been talking about 2020 में 2021 में तो ऐसे पैसे मिलते थे. आप बोलो आपको 100 करोड़ वैल्यूएशन चाहिए, ये लो 100 करोड़. आपको whatever money आपको 10 करोड़ चाहिए, आप 25 करोड़ लेके जाओ हमसे. But अब after 2 years of shift, there's a strong change in the way people have been working. The investors have been investing. They have burned their hands and there has been a different outlook. Fundamentals का जो base होता था वो change हो चुका है. And ऐसे करते करते there's a difference in valuation purposes also. And funding बहुत बड़ी challenge हो चुकी है. Despite knowing most of the VCs, angel investors are ready. They're sitting on huge pile of money and still they're looking for right valuation and right funding. प्रोडक्ट मार्केट टाइमिंग शिफ्ट ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है. मेनी पीपल फील लाइक जो चीज बॉम्बे में चलेगी वो चेन्नई में भी चल जाएगी, जो चीज दिल्ली में चल रही है वो आगरा में भी चलेगी. एंड आई एम सिटिंग इन नागपुर एंड समबडी कम्स सी मैं बॉम्बे गया था ना, बॉम्बे में ये चीज ऐसे बहुत अच्छी चलती है. दिस इज समथिंग व्हिच वी कैन ब्रिंग इन हियर एंड दिस इज गोइंग टू बी समथिंग न्यू. वी टेंड टू फॉरगेट कि बॉम्बे के लोगों का लाइफस्टाइल अलग है, अप्रोच अलग है. सो इट हैपेंस समथिंग व्हिच इज वेरी गुड इन यूरोपियन कंट्रीज वोंट हैपन हियर टू बी राइट. I go for examples like the EV, which was like I live in a place and 4 blocks down or towards my left there have been a person who was used to drive a two-seater car EV. यानी मैं बात कर रहा हूँ 1980s नहीं not I am talking about 2006 2007 की बात है जब हम नागपुर शिफ्ट हुए थे. तब वो होता ये था कि there's a EV person, यानी वो उसके पास एक इलेक्ट्रिकल व्हीकल की गाड़ी 2006 2007 में है. The company was Rio, which was taken over by Mahindra. Mahindra came with E2O afterwards. So उसके पास वो EV की टेक्नोलॉजी was available at that point of time. But आप देखेंगे तो EV का मार्केट आज है. So what happens is people tend to have a timing misfit. And because of that, जो चीज अगर वो कंपनी आज रहती, वो फाउंडर्स आज डालते, तो they would have got multiple valuations. So when Mahindra took it over, they took it at okay kind of a valuation. But ठीक है. We are not there to judge or to discuss on these topics, but there's a product or there's a market and there's a timing misfit which is very challenging. Another major thing happens is failure to accept the failure. See, most of the people who have been working on this, fabrications happen. There are various CFOs who have been getting fired because of this thing. They have to show the figures and कुछ भी करेंगे उसके लिए, growth दिखाने के लिए, valuation बढ़ाने के लिए, sale या top revenue, top line बढ़ाने के लिए, they'll do any kind of jugglery to it. This happens to be a very strong challenge कि अगर नहीं करेंगे तो कम वैल्यूएशन आएगा तो पैसे कम मिलेंगे. So एक बेंचमार्क सेट हो जाता है, उससे चैलेंज हो जाता है. It becomes really difficult to accept that actually चलो मान लो नहीं चल रहा मेरा धंधा बंद हो गया है. एक उस चीज को समझना बहुत जरूरी है. And the most important challenge which I personally feel, even we as professionals should take care of is branding ourselves, branding strategy. Most of the things, मतलब brands हम बहुत सुनते हैं, and there's another topic which needs to be taken in detail, but branding strategy.
Arun ji,
yes,
it is
yes.
7:54. Can we have questions?
Yes, sir. That's it. And just start with it. Thank you. This is my sir. Thank you, sir. So sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Arun ji. Excellent presentation.
Yeah. The last slide, which happened to be an interesting one, so I just went through with the flow. Sorry.
No, I appreciate, 100% appreciate.
Yes, sir.
Because the whole purpose of this group is that participants share their goals. We are ready to be mastermind. They find out mastermind from the group. And Arun, like every resource person is a mastermind. So those who want to work on a startup, either as an entrepreneur or as a consultant or in any other way they want to get involved, they can contact him, they can contact us.
Yeah, let's go for
Any-
question and answers, Q&As.
Yeah. We are, so that is what I am instigating them to ask questions.
The topic is so vast, sir, we can just keep on going.
I know. On 27th and 28th June, 27th is International MSME Day. The Committee on MSME and Startup is doing 2 days, I would say, summit at Geo in Bombay, BKC. So about 6,000 startup entrepreneurs, professionals we are expecting. We are working on this in a big way. And there is also International Entrepreneurship Day coming up. We will plan a big event there also. Any query, any suggestion? And how to succeed, next week we have a session on thought leadership. So because that is the way to excel in life. So we have a professional colleague, CA Abhijit Sanjgiri, who will take up on 6th May. And then we have on 13th May, Excel dashboard by Alok Shetty ji. He was here in Bombay yesterday, took a session on dashboard. And he also addressed mentorship program for career counselors. And yesterday I got an idea that career counseling itself can be a very lucrative and big vocation. One is to acquire other skills which are required, but that is one area. आप लोग सवाल पूछिए.
I am eager to answer. Please ask, because this is vast field. So what happens is a startup is something which is, which जैसे सब लोग अभी सोच रहे हैं वैसे ही स्टार्टअप के बारे में लोग सोचते रहते हैं. Will we do it? Will we able to succeed? Will ये idea काम करेगा नहीं करेगा? I personally feel you need to take the first step. The moment you take the first step, rest of the things follow. And as there are started accountants here, this is a huge opportunity available. Like I am sitting in tier 2 city like Nagpur. I do have office in Pune, but we find ourselves to be very equipped with so many resources available here. Bombay तो बहुत बड़ा हो गया. Bombay, Delhi, Chennai, these are big places. People coming with so many innovative ideas. And there's so much of support available. सबसे बड़ा रहता है support जो है ना वो बहुत ज़्यादा available है वहाँ पे. So I personally push everybody जाइए कीजिए. As a professional, take up those clients, take up those services, and there's going to be a new area of opportunity everywhere.
Thank you, Arun, for sharing your knowledge. There is one question in the chat box. So, C. Hitesh is asking whether private limited company includes one-person company.
Yeah, I have answered that. It does include, one-person companies.
So,
I've also answered on bootstrapping. What is bootstrapping? खुद का पैसा, without any out funds. And a confusion रहता है कि हम बैंक से लोन लेंगे against a collateral, whether it be a bootstrapping or not. Technically, you're putting up your own, you're raising your own funds, but bootstrapping is खुद का equity without any other outsource equity.
I suppose people are like absorbing the information that you shared, and they will be needing a little time to get to the question. So still inviting if anyone has any question.
I have one more question. Like,
Yes, go ahead.
Lots of FDI coming in. Whether part of a foreign company, say subsidiary of a foreign company, they can't register under startup, right?
No. Startups have to be registered in India, and it is expected that most of the holding is from the Indian nationals. This is how they look for it. The scheme is for.
Is there any percentage of holding on that, or should it be 100%?
I didn't get your question.
Share capital, should it be essentially 100% from the Indian entrepreneurs, or can it come from?
It can come from outside. It can come from outside.
Is there any percentage on that?
There's no percentage as such. You can have, people who are working abroad, or not investors, but the conceptualize the promoters from abroad who are trying to pitch an idea to do it in India. They can go for the startup registration. What happens is registration should be in India. It should be a company incorporated in India or registered in India. That's the basic criteria. The promoters can be all across the globe.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Arun, can you share this presentation with us?
Sure, sir. It's
okay. Thank you.
I made few changes last night to change the numbers, but the presentation has been shared. I'll give the revised one.
Please, sir. Please.
Even you see this presentation is something which was made up by I sat with a startup and they were presenting in this innovative because let me try something. So I built this up and
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. If any more questions are coming, most welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It is 8:02.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Rajkumar, sir. Thank you, Shivani.
Thank you
For giving me the opportunity.
Look forward to see you all on 6th May. How to be thought leader. Thank you.
Yeah, Arun, Sangeeta here. I have no questions to ask because I'm not aware of this field. Okay. But I love the energy you share. I love the way you express yourself, the energy, early morning to have a person with all this energy. Wonderful. Good luck to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Sangeeta, education is such a vast field. One can do many startups, maybe crores and crores of startups.
I forgot to mention in startup trend these days, what people in which industry is which area we are people are putting in. There's so much of going on, and education was one. It did take a downfall, but there are still innovations which are going on in education sector. Agri is something which is really doing really good. Healthcare is something which people are ready to put funds. आप लेके आइए एक idea, पैसे जहाँ चाहिए मिल जाएंगे. we are working in this kind of fields. We are working with these kind of founders. That's why I can say this.
How about the cooking, or what do you say?
Ma'am, it's very innovative. And if we can, what the major challenge, what we are also doing is business process re-engineering. So in cooking, what happens, it becomes a very uncategorized, unorganized industry. If you can formalize something, get a product which is uniquely available, or probably the same product in a very, very different styled brand, I assure you, ma'am, consumers are there, and there are investors specifically in consumer category who are ready to put funds, and they have good strategies to help you out. We also look for synergy between VCs. यानी अरुण बाफना एक पैसा लाके देगा, या फिर for that Rajkumar sir will bring in some money. Whom will you get associated with? Rajkumar sir has got much resources, so you'll choose him than Arun Bafna. So there are VCs or investors who are into that category who will bring synergy to your project. So food processing is something really good, which is taking up a good time and good space in the market.
Yeah, something to do with healthy eating, because most of us are traveling now.
Exactly, ma'am. Exactly, the same product.
Yeah, because
the bars.
Eating outside. All the 3 meals, most of us eat outside. We think we'll cook and eat, but then most of the time we're outside. We're so engaged in our work. Something healthy should happen.
Yes,
because that's the most important thing.
Arun, I feel any consumer item, there is a good market. Any consumer item.
Provided you develop a brand, sir. I would be critical to this, but you have to develop your brand. You have to develop your USP in that. And we don't have to go for 100 crore funding. We don't have to go for say $100 funding or $100 million funding. Something funding are available at small amounts also. 20 crores, 5 crores, any small space. People are there now.
But Arun ji, ये has to be innovative ना. Startup है तो innovative नया होना चाहिए ना concept.
हाँ, innovative होना चाहिए.
हाँ, you cannot do something which is already there.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
I have to find out the problem. तो मुझे पहले problem find करना पड़ेगा public का. And then come out with a solution, something that is not there.
संगीता जी का problem क्या है? खाना is not a problem. Solution is already available. But the way she is going to produce, put the problem and the service or the product, this is going to be innovative.
She has to come out with something जो खाने के पहले वो खाए तो उसको भूख कम लगे बाहर जाने पर. संगीता मैडम.
So if we get only healthy food all around, then we don't have to worry at all. There is so much junk available, and we tend to eat. When we are hungry, we eat anything. But then if it's only healthy food all around, it's only healthy food, we don't have to think about it. You just go eat whatever you get and you just carry on with your work. It will be so wonderful. So all the junk should be vanished.
देखो संगीता मैडम, आप जाते हो सैंडविच खाने को, you can take only one bread and have more of salad. But it has to be come from within, ये कोई जबरदस्ती नहीं हो सकता ना.
वो problem है ना,
unhealthy खाना है.
You can't you can't tell children to do that. Those who are studying, those who are staying in hostels and all that, because we also tend, when you're hungry, I also go for junk.
So I'll give you my personal insight when we deal with startup. It is about how you portray your proposal, how do you portray your product. So once you deal, you hit that point and you're successful. That's what I could say.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Even a few startups we are seeing coming up with innovative, healthy options. So recently we are seeing some sort of cafes around that are providing healthy options.
Yeah, I think
it's good.
All over it should be just healthy food.
Right. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Arun, for sharing your knowledge with all our audience.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Shivani, for the opportunity.
Rajkumar sir,
Thank you.
Thank you, Arun. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Hirani sir. Thank you so much.
I'll contact afterward. मैं आपको बाद में फोन करूँगा.
Yes, sir.
SMS you.
Yes, sir. Always, sir.